you.
Right, good evening. You are watching live with Faye on YouTube. Thank you for joining me. There were a lot of questions, of course, of why we weren't taking up the situation in Bangalore. That's largely because we were waiting for full information to emerge. We are not a 24/7 news channel, so we don't feel the need to break everything first. So we wait for the proper information to emerge before we take up the story. So good evening to those of you who are joining us. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you. Remember, this is a discussion. It is not a debate. The idea is to bring in as many points of view as we can possibly and get as many points of view on the story. So to give you an update of what's happening in Bangalore. The Bangalore police on Wednesday arrested one man for posting a derogatory social media post that was offensive to Islam and its beliefs. Now, allegedly, this particular post led to what can only be described as rioting. 3 people have died and over 50 police personnel have been injured. Now, the accused P. Naveen has been identified as the nephew of Mr. Murthy. To quote the Bangalore City Police Commissioner, it says, with regard to incidents in DJ Halli, accused Naveen has been arrested. Also, a total of 110 accused arrested for arson, stone pelting, assault on the police. Appeal to all to maintain peace. That's the discussion we're having today. How do we reach a point really in a city like Bangalore, of all places, where this sort of thing has become possible? Joining me this evening, Brinda Adige, who's an activist, Zia Nomani, the youth president of Swaraj, India, Lokeshwara, who is a retired police officer from Bangalore, will join us as well, and Prajwal, who's a journalist with the News Minute, joins us right now. Good evening to our panelists and to our audience who have joined us. Let me just quickly start with Prajwal. Prajwal, good evening. What could you tell us about the latest updates in Bangalore right now? What are the police doing to maintain peace?
A rapid action force marched this morning, and the only thing you can see of the residents of the area where the violence erupted is that they are mostly indoors and not coming out. The entire area in Banaswadi subdivision is under curfew, and we're waiting for updates on the investigation before commenting on anything else. At the moment, 4 people have been admitted in Bowring Hospital with gunshot injuries. This is in addition to the 3 people who have been confirmed dead. 2 of them were admitted in Bowring Hospital itself, and they arrived at the hospital. They were declared dead on arrival at the hospital.
Also, Prajwal, when you say gunshot injuries, were these gunshots fired by the police or were the rioters using guns?
That is not, there's something that the investigation has to ascertain. If you look at the FIR filed by the police actually say that the rioters snatched their weapons, but it was the police that was firing at the crowd of protesters when I reached the spot on Tuesday night. So this is something that the police has to ascertain, and all we know is that the 2 people who arrived at Bowring Hospital, they died of gunshot. There are more injuries, more people who have suffered gunshot injuries too.
Okay, and in terms of arrests that have been made so far, we know that the government had said that they will be very strict about ensuring an investigation and arrests. So would you tell us what the statements are from the government so far and how far the investigation has progressed?
So this morning we received 2 FIRs in the case. One of them was the arrest of Naveen P, who made the derogatory post, which kickstarted all this. And the other included the arrest of a number of leaders. Among them are SDPI leaders. The SDPI leader this includes the SDPI leader who arrived at that police station, DJ Halli police station, seeking a complaint to be filed against Naveen for the Facebook post. Along with him, several others, of course, have been included in FIR, and the investigation is still proceeding, so we might see more arrests.
Right, we might see more arrests. And would you be able to tell us, Prajwal, what happened exactly and how so many people managed to gather in one place and begin rioting?
Okay, so the area we are talking about is the DJ Halli police station and the KG Halli police station in the eastern part of Bangalore. It's in the Banaswadi subdivision. What happened was that a crowd gathered after the derogatory post by a person named Naveen P. He's a relative of a Congress MLA of Lokeshwara. he made a post, and there were people. There were maybe a crowd of 150 people that were reported outside the DJ police station. This is around 8 o'clock. So the SDPI leader Muzammil Pasha, he's the he's the district president of the SDPI in Bangalore. He was the one who came along with the lawyer to file a police complaint against the person who made the post, Naveen P. There was a delay in the registering of the FIR. That is what we are told, and the crowd outside the police station increased in number over the next 1 hour. And it was the crowd realized that the FIR was not registered after Muzammil came out of the police station and addressed the crowd with the loudspeaker. Now, what happened after this is that there were 2 police teams dispatched to the house of Naveen P, but the vehicle, the police van which went to the residence of Naveen, returned to the police station without Naveen inside it. So this is, according to police and the eyewitnesses, what kickstarted a massive violent attack on the police station, which even forced the senior police officials of that station to take shelter inside. They could helplessly watch on. They could only helplessly watch on as the vandalism and the mob fury began outside.
Right. Prajwal, stay with us while I bring in the rest of our panel. Zia Nomani is with us, the youth president of Swaraj India. Zia, good evening. Obviously, a city like Bangalore is not used to this sort of thing. We've had this government also put out a statement that they believe that this is politically motivated in some way to make them look bad. There are rifts that are being created based on religion, but fundamentally, for us as a people to be more, to have this sort of a reaction to a social media post is not cool. What is your opinion right now on the way we see things playing out?
Yeah, good evening, Faye. First of all, I would like to say that three kids, in fact, 17 years old and somewhere around 19 and 21-year-old boys have died and they have lost their lives. That's very unfortunate. And as you said that there was a social media post which was deeply derogatory, and police should have filed an FIR immediately. Police should have taken action, and had the police taken action at the right time, I'm very sure things would not have got so bad. Number one. Number two, as you said that, and even Prajwal was saying, there are few organizations, their names are coming, there are many people who are pointing fingers. Yes, those organizations' names have been cropping up in the past also. They have been involved. Their names have been involved with some kind of activities. And even now their names are coming. The police is investigating. The crime branch has taken up the case. And I'm very sure the investigation will reveal something which will come up into the picture. But again, anyone getting violent, that is not the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself. In fact, I have been quoting this. I was there at the spot. I was pleading to the crowd using the police jeep's mic. And I kept saying that. I kept saying them that there was a time when there was a woman who used to throw stones at Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he never did anything. In fact, one day when the woman did not turn up to throw stones at Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Prophet himself went to the woman's house and he asked her, "Are you feeling good? Why didn't you turn up today?" So that's the teaching of Prophet. There cannot be any violent reaction to anything. In fact, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is an epitome of peace and patience.
No, so tell me something, Zia. How could, if you were at the location, how did so many people gather? Was there a WhatsApp message that was circulated? We know for a fact, people who organize events will tell you that nobody gathers in one place unless they are told by appointment, come to this place at this time. That's how a crowd gathers. So are you aware of how this happened?
Yes, definitely. As Prajwal was saying, he also named a leader of an organization, saying that when the police did not file an FIR, and even media reports suggest the same thing, that specific leader of specific organization was saying that more and people need to come and we'll have to pressurize for an FIR, and that's when crowd started swelling. But the way of mobilizing people, investigation is undergoing. And
Can I speak?
Yes, I think Mr. Lokeshwara has joined us. Lokeshwara, namaskara.
Yes.
Would you be able to tell us, Mr. Lokeshwara, how such an incident could have happened in a peaceful city like Bangalore?
See, since yesterday, I am observing things in the media. that police delayed in filing the FIR. That was the major reason why this problem was started and made so much of loss, all that. To be frank with the things, it is not correct. Filing an FIR immediately or after 1 hour, 2 hours is not a big issue. Sometimes because of so many reasons, the officer in charge of the police station get inquired the details and he will make a FIR. That's all. Just a piece of paper they will get at the time. But what the preparation to solve that problem that time is very important. They try to convince the people who gather near the police station. Even after arrival of DCP also, these people not heard properly and they listened. I mean, they listened the instruction of the police department officers and they wanted the accused to hand over to them. That was totally illegal and not acceptable. All these things explains that they doesn't want FIR or something immediate. That was not their question. They wanted that accused to be handed over to them. There the problem the police wanted to solve and they wanted to do the next things. That was the reason why the initiation in the Galata took that mob.
No, I think Lokeshwara ji is partially correct here. I'm sorry to interfere. Had the FIR and had those things be communicated on media and that would have been done, I don't think the crowd would have swelled. There wouldn't be any reason for any organization, as we are discussing today, to move.
No, Mister. I don't know your name. I'm sorry. The gathering of people near KGLE police station, near DJLE police station, and people around MLA's house and some other people's house is at a time. You must know that also.
No, I'm
Why
really
they
sorry.
gathered
I'm
over there all?
witness. No, at 10 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, I had crossed Srinivasa's house, Akhanda Srinivasa's house. There was no one. There was just 5 people. At 10:10, there were no one outside his house. There were 2 vans, BTV van, and there was a public TV Omni van. You can confirm this with the channels and they might confirm you. There was
No,
no
now
crowd of 10
Mr. भाई देखो वो क्या हो गया पहला आप थोड़ा सुन कर you listen to me. What I heard that first the people gathered near DJLE where the accused was taken. They heard that the accused was taken to KGLE. Then they rushed towards KGLE also. And some people went to Srinivas' house and his sister's house. All this has happened. It was happened within 1 hour. You must know it. Why so much of gathering they wanted? At last, 1 or 2 people is sufficient to file a FIR. Why so much crowd they wanted?
That is right. That is right. What you say that they were not ready to forward an FIR. Yes, I am witness to it. And they kept saying कि हमना
And see,
FIR
it is a Bangalore city,
That's
very
right.
near to any office, that is Commissioner office, DCP office, ACP office. Not necessary the FIR has to be made by the inspector. Even the ACP can direct, DCP can direct, anybody. They would have told those people, they would have did within 1 or 2 minutes with that difference. Why they did all that Galata near police station?
Right. In fact, let me just also bring in Brinda Adige. Lokeshwara ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Brinda Adige, unfortunately, this is not the Bangalore we know. Bangalore that I grew up in at least did not face this kind of religious clashes. There wasn't this kind of reaction on the street to anything, let alone the filing or the delay of an FIR. So obviously there's more to this, Brinda Adige, than what is happening. The environment seems to have changed.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದಮ್ಮ ಇದು ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವಿಚಾರ ಈ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ.
ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವಿಚಾರ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ತರದ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಈ ಸಮಾಜದ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ವಿಚಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಸಿನ್ಸ್ 91-92 ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂದು ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಡೆಕ್ಕನ್ ಹೆರಾಲ್ಡ್ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಾಗಿಂದನು ಏನು ಎಂತದಂತ ವಿಚಾರಿಸ್ದಲೇನೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಆಗೋದಕ್ ಬಿಡದಲೇನೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ನಾವು. ಅವರು ಒಬ್ರೋ ಇಬ್ರೋ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಜನ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಬಂದ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ. ಮೊದಲು ಏನೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇತ್ತು, ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ಗು ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Brinda, Adige, go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Faye. In fact, something like what happened yesterday, the night before, is so appalling and very, very sad. Very sad because 3 young people lost their lives. A lot of people got hurt. And I would want to reiterate this, what you have also been saying, all over a social media post. And Zia is saying that if the police had registered an FIR, then all this would not have happened. Zia, I don't know. I'm in and out of police stations every other day. We know for sure that an FIR does not get registered before 5 to 6 hours. Whatever, whether it is a domestic violence or it is a theft or whatever it may be. Something like this over a social media post, hundreds of people want to go to a police station or have gone to a police station, and so much of loss. You're angry with the police, maybe, because the FIR has not been registered. But see what damage has been done. People have been scared. There are so many people who have come out today and said that a lot of Muslim brethren actually protected them from the mob. So was it, I'm asking these questions. Why are those people, many of them are Hindus, saying that Muslim brethren actually protected us? Otherwise, we knew that we would be dead. That is a kind of fear I never thought is something that I would ever feel in Bangalore. I know that we hear about it all over India, but never Bangalore. Bangalore has been this place that has always lived in harmony.
Sorry for
also, one moment, sir, just a minute, I'll finish. Bangalore is also a place where different kinds of people in different religions live together, and they might be here and there an argument, skirmish, or whatever it may be. But a mob of this nature has actually now started, where Bangaloreans are now saying over a social media post, this much of, I might want to use this word, coordination. How did so many people come together? Because that is all of us are asking these questions. We know 10, 20 people can always come together when they see somebody asking you, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to the police station. We want to register an FIR. And we live in a small locality. We will go in with them. But we're talking of hundreds of people. And that is very, very scary. Very scary. Even now, police may be investigating. There is 144, but fear has set in. And that's not my Bangalore. That's not our Bangalore.
ಹಲೋ ನೋಡಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವರು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಹತ್ರ ಅಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಬರೋದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಅಂತೂ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೈಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ಲಿ DJ ಹಳ್ಳಿ, KJ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಗಿನ ಜಾವದವರೆಗೂ ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡಾಡಿ, ಓಲ್ ನೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೇ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾನೂನನ್ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬಿಡೋದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೇ ಇಲ್ದಂಗೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ರೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋಂತ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್, ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ಲಿ ಡ್ರಗ್ ಮಾಫಿಯಾ ಆ ತರದ್ದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕೆಲವು ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮೊದ್ಲಿಂದ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೊಸದೆಲ್ಲ. KJ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಮತ್ತೆ DJ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಹಿಂದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರ ಅಲ್ಲಂತೂ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಈ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ವಿಚಾರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಅಟ್ಯಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್, ಓನ್ಲಿ MLAs, ಓನ್ಲಿ 1 or 2 ಲೀಡರ್ಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ DJ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಹರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದ್ರ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊರಟಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಸರಿ, ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. What Mr. Lokeshwara has said, he's a former ACP police in Bangalore. He said that we must note that the area that we're talking about actually had instances of such kind of crime in the past. It is an area that has a high crime rate. It's also said that it's very interesting that the attack specifically happened only on the 2 police stations and the MLA's house. Nobody else was harmed. Nobody else was bothered. This suggests to him, he says, that there might have been an other motive or an ulterior motive to this, and it is not what appears on the face of it. That's what Mr. Lokeshwara is saying. Taking this back to Zia, obviously, I again, as a citizen of Bangalore, I refuse to believe that people in Bangalore get so angry that they want to burn things. This obviously looks like an orchestrated, organized event. And at some point, one must take responsibility for it, in the sense that the people who organize this, these organizations must be dismantled and the leaders must be investigated.
Definitely. That's what I've been saying. In fact, to add to what Brinda ji said, I was one of those people who were protecting the police and the main building of Dige police station. In fact, it was just me and other party colleague of Swaraj India, R. Kalimullah Bhai, along with MLA Zamir and Rizwan. At one point of time, we had to run for our lives. For 2 hours, we were running for our lives in the backyard of the police station because the crowd went mad. I'm not here to support the crowd. I'm not here to support the violence that happened over there. That's completely irresponsible. Again, adding to your point, yes, the organization and the way we are talking about, those organizations, those people have already been linked with such activities in the past. It is important this is thoroughly investigated. Now, when we say the timings of the police, Lokeshwar ji, he has a good experience with the police department. They can definitely ascertain the CCTV camera. They will come to know. Also, they could also look into the WhatsApp chats, because these images and the crowds to be mobilized predominantly happened on WhatsApp. If the police catches those people, faces are very clear, and they investigate, they will come to know the deeper conspiracy or who mobilized this violent crowd, who told them that you have to get violent, who told them that constitutional ke alawa bhi hum khud hi apna insaf kar lenge. Those things have to be done. And I, as a Muslim and community from that Muslim, I would like to tell you, these people or those organizations do not represent us. We are talking about a crowd of 1,000 to 1,200 misguided youths who have been, turned violent by someone's ideology, but they do not represent us. The DJLE police limits we're talking about has a population of 60,000. So again, they do not represent the community, and strictest punishment should be given after investigation. But at the same time, we need to realize that what happened over there, there's a very deep conspiracy to it. And I think investigation is going on. I would not like to comment on the organization's name and people who are involved, but I think it's going in the right direction, as I read with the news reports.
Right. Just bringing Prajwal back again. Prajwal, if you would just put some light on the areas, the KGLE, areas that that Mr. Lokeshwara is talking about. Is there a history of crime in these areas? And how bad is it?
Seasoned crime reporters say that there is a history of crime which is not different from areas surrounding it as well. But what we do know is that we have not seen an incident like this, where a Facebook post has drawn more than 1,000 people to a spot and led to a large-scale violence. The remnants of the violence, if you have seen a day later, it doesn't resemble any part of Bangalore that we've seen. At least in my experience of reporting in Bangalore for the past 3 years, I have not come across an incident like this. And I've not come across an incident where the police had to resort to opening fire and using tear gas shells to control the crowd. So in the entire area, the DJ police station seems to have borne the brunt of the damage. The station itself has been set on fire. Many of the staff vehicles have been burnt in it, and the area outside the police station, leading up to 100 meters away from the station as well, there were police vehicles, there were civilian vehicles that were charred, like you can see it on the screen right now. The police vehicle overturned the entrance to the station. There's also an Indira canteen that's located next to the station, and the police actually had to go from their station to the Indira canteen to escape from the fury of the mob. The mob actually overturned the police vehicle that was right in front of that Indira canteen. So the answer to your question, I think there are more experienced people who can answer this. But in my 3 years of reporting in Bangalore, this is the most violent incident I've seen, whether it's in DJ Halli or in any other part of the city.
Let me add to that, Faye. There's also an ATM which was where the mob went and they have vandalized that. Now, what does that make sense? If you're actually there to get justice for Prophet Muhammad, who's giving you right to go and for a mob to go and vandalize an ATM? So this has nothing to do with religion. The conspiracy has to come out in light, and the investigative agency has to bring it to light to the people.
If I may add one point of the investigation, fire department personnel are checking how a large amount of arson could happen. Did the rioters, did they have fuel stored up, or did they have access to petrol or kerosene? Because it's not just a large number of people who gathered in the same spot. If you were there that night, you could see that it was pitch dark. There were not many lights on, and the only light that you could see was from the fires of the vehicles that were burnt on the road. So this begs the question: how did the people there arrange for so much kerosene, so much petrol to burn up a vast stretch of the street leading to Adige police station?
Well, Brinda, Adige, here's the sad thing, right? So, which means that there was, from what we've gathered so far, there was an organization that organized people, gave them perhaps, and this is true, you can't set a bus or a van on fire without fuel. It's not going to burn on its own. So this was a planned operation. And, you know, we have to recognize the fact that there are organizations that are thinking like this today.
You're absolutely right. With all the points that have been made just now, and I want to use this word again, it is organized, very well coordinated. Sad, but very well coordinated, because the number of vehicles, even civilian vehicles that have been set fire to, could not have happened with just one match. They have carried all of this arson, if that is what is going to come out, but they have had access to petrol or kerosene or some kind of inflammable material, and they have been carrying with that. The other point is, Mr. Lokeshwara said that this is an area that is always well lit, anytime during the night. But now we also get Prajwal saying that there were no street lights, there were no lights at all. It was so dark, except for the light from the fire. So this actually shows that, yes, not only organized, but very, very well coordinated. And whoever has been leading this whole thing, and also in between urging people, I'm sure, you know, some kind of information and message that has gone around. And that is why this kind of violence. I've never really seen something like this in Bangalore. And this was a shocker to all of us. And how is it that these leaders continued to send these messages, go around, gather thousands of these people? Such impunity.
Yes.
Such impunity. Did they actually think they will get away with it? No remorse, not feeling sorry that other people are getting hurt. Mr. Lokeshwara also pointed that very specifically they went to specific homes and destroyed and burnt them. But they also did this on the street. And there were other people also who were very scared. And Zia says that they also got scared and they went away, which means they did all of this knowing fully well what the end impact and results will be.
I'm sorry.
That is the danger. That is the danger.
I have to go live on another channel, but let me give you something. That day, I felt a minority within a minority community, because I and Zamir and Rizwan and Kaleem from Swaraj, India, we were telling the crowd to stop. They did not stop. Let me tell you one more thing. When we say that which organization was behind it, let it be open to the people, because those crowd over there were not ready to listen to two Congress elected representatives. They were giving all kind of wrong abuses. So it's very easy for us to understand what kind of sympathies they have and which organization they have sympathized with or where they come from. So I don't think it's too much to think about. I'm saying they at the risk of my life, but I have to say this because someone has to speak up. You can't let such organizations continue in the name of religion who are trying to get a young kids. They're brainwashing a young kids for violence. That is completely wrong. When I went to the police station, I said, "Apan satyagraha karenge, बैठेंगे." स्वराज इंडिया ने एनआरसी का मूवमेंट चलाया, करोड़ों लोग हमारे साथ जुड़े, हमने कोई वायलेंस नहीं किया। पूरे कर्नाटका में हमने मूवमेंट चलाया, आए दिन हमने प्रोटेस्ट किए, कोई वायलेंस नहीं हुआ। वो एक तरीका होता है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोटेस्ट का। क्या आप 10,000-1200 लोगों को लाकर उससे बड़ा प्रोटेस्ट कर लेंगे? आपने वायलेंस करवाया, जिसने वायलेंस कराया, आई वुड लाइक टू फिनिश ओवर हियर, पुलिस हैज टू इन्वेस्टिगेट। And they will have to. This is not the time that those organizations which have been linked with such activities earlier also should be left. At this time, it is important. And I am saying that at the risk of my life because I'm a staunch follower of Maulana Azad. I wouldn't let any other Muslim league come and divide us on the name of anything. I'm as against as RSS, I'm against such these people. Swaraj India, and we have been fighting the ideology of extremism, whether it is RSS or this ideology, and we will keep fighting. So I would like to just go down on that part, and I think it will be easy for all of us to understand which organizations we are talking about.
Right. I just want to bring in Mr. Lokeshwara again. Lokeshwara, Prajwal helidru that the fire department is looking at the possibility of fuel. Fuel ತಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ ಟ್ರೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದಾ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ಗೆ? Can the police trace the fuel?
ಎಲ್ಲದೂ ಆಗುತ್ತಮ್ಮ, ಟ್ರೇಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನೋಡಿ. ಅದು ಮೊದಲಿಂದನೂ ಕ್ರೈಮ್ ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ. ಈ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಬಾಂಬ್ಸ್, ಲಾಂಗ್ಸ್, ಈ ಕ್ಲಬ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ವಾತಾವರಣ ಇರುವಂತ ಏರಿಯಾನೇ ಅದು. ಹೊಸದೇನಲ್ಲ. ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಅಂತ ಇವಾಗ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹಿಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿದೆ. 50 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇವರು ಪ್ರಜ್ವಲ್ 3 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನೋಡಿರೋದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಡ್ರಗ್ ಮಾಫಿಯಾ, ಸ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಲ್ವುಡ್ ರಾಕೆಟ್ ಈ ತರದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ರಾಬ್ರಿ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತವ್ರು, ಡಕಾಯಿತಿ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತವ್ರು
There seems to be
a problem with the connection. A quick translation for our viewers who don't speak Kannada. Mr. Lokeshwara was saying that this neighborhood is habitual in crime. People involved in the sandalwood racket, people involved in robberies and other things were... ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್.
ಈಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಈ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಿದ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಅಂತ ಏನು PFI ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಈ ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾದರಾಯನಪುರದ ಗಲಾಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಮಂಗಳೂರು CA ಗಲಾಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಗಲಾಟೆಗಳು ಆಗಿರೋದು. ಸೊ ಇವ್ರು ಆ ಹುಡುಗ ಏನು ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ ಇದ್ರವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಯಾವ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಈ ತರ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಗಲಾಟೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಕಾರಣ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಲಾ ಅಂಡ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಅನ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಸೊಸೈಟಿ, ಇದು ಅವ್ರ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್, FIR ಆಗೋದು, ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗೋದು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಮಾಬು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡಿ 1.5 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ವರ್ಗುನು ಸುತ್ತ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಹತ್ರ ಬರ್ದಂಗೆ. Commissioner himself walked for 1.5 kilometers to reach the police station. You must understand how these people planned, organized and made this mob rioting anta. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಬಂದಿರೋದಲ್ಲಿ. ಅವ್ರು ಯಾರು FIR ಹಾಕಿ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ತಗೊಳಕಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ದೇ ನೋ ಬಿಲೀಫ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಸಿ. They don't have any respect on the country's ಕಲ್ಚರ್, ನೇಚರ್ ಯಾವುದು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ವಿಚಾರನೆ ಬ್ರೈನ್ ವಾಶ್ಡ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆತರ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿನೇ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ಈಗ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Okay, just to again translate what Mr. Lokeshwara, former ACP Bangalore, was saying, he's basically saying that there are these regular offender organizations that are only interested in seeing the law and order broken, in seeing the establishment shaken, and in seeing chaos on the street. This is their aim. This is what they're doing. And repeatedly, he says, as police, we have seen these organizations, radicalize young people and get them to behave in this manner. He was also disagreeing with what was said by Zia of Swaraj India. I just want to take this back to Brinda Adige. Brinda Adige, the truth is, at some point this must be called out, and it's not right to say it was an entire religious community, but if there are regular offenders, whether it was in Bangalore, whether it is here, shouldn't the police have picked them up by now? Is there a reluctance to pick them up? Is there some sort of concern here?
It looks like that, because I also am wondering that this happened over a period of 1 hour, 1.5 hours. When you know, like Mr. Lokeshwara is saying, that this is a crime-prone area, these are things that happen, petrol bombs and all of that is very common. Why did the police not take action? What were they waiting for? Why would it be that the commissioner had to walk 1.5 kilometers inside? Why did the police not call for additional force? Why did all these things not happen? Because you say that there is prior information, you say that in the past there have been these kind of incidents, which also means that when you look out of the police station and see 50, 100 people standing outside, a possibility that something like this can happen, A. B, what about all your beat police? They were on patrol. What about all your Hoysalas, your cheetahs? All of them have been on patrol over there. So they should have been giving you information. You should have been gathering that so-called intelligence and then say, okay, with all of this with us, we know that this is not going to be any kind of a conversation and a dialogue discussion that is going to happen about what is the FIR that's going to get filed, whatever with the delay, without the delay. There might be violence. There could be some kind of an unrest. So we need to see how we can reduce it, minimize it. I don't know if it could have been stopped. Because if that didn't happen, then the police are also not calling out. The police know who the culprits may be, who the leaders are, or they might have had information in the past of these leaders who caused this kind of violence. So why have they not been picked up? Why are they not yet out there saying we've arrested the leaders who instigated all of this?
Yes. Prajwal, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to the point made by Brinda. The police actually have to answer 3 questions through their investigations. I hope the investigation reveals the answers to these questions. Do they think that the attack was pre-planned? And if yes, what were the evidences for it? And why was there a certain amount of time that took before the FIR was registered? We know that there was a certain amount of hesitation there because when the mob was gathering outside, it was just 150 to 200 people when Muzammil Pasha, the SDPI leader, arrived with the lawyer to file the complaint. But around the time, within hours of that, the mob had grown past 1,500 to 2,000. So that this is what the police inspector in the DJID police station has told us. Now, the other question is, was there any way to avoid opening fire? Was there any way to ensure that the situation did not go so out of control that they had to resort to opening fire and using tear gas shells to disperse the mob? This is something that police have to answer in the course of the investigations.
Right. We're going to leave this here. And of course, we'll keep coming back to the questions of the investigation and what's going on in Bangalore, because we have to, and I have to keep reminding people that journalists must follow what is proven and what is true. So there will be a lot of speculation that's going on a lot of other channels, and there'll be a lot of hate that's being spewed about. But let's wait for the police to complete their investigation and file their charge sheet, at which point we know that the investigation is complete, and we'll bring you those updates when that happens. In the meantime, we are naturally a country of non-violent, peaceful people. This is unnatural behavior for any community. We were born out of non-violent protest. We were born out of what Gandhi taught us. This is not the India we know. It's certainly not the Bangalore that I know. And I do hope that peace is maintained across the country, and specifically in my hometown in Bangalore, and we don't see a repeat of this. I also right now look to the Bangalore police to complete this investigation, find everyone responsible, and let the law take its course. Thank you for watching. Good night.